Gina, Nicole, and I am going to go live now on, well, I want the gallery view. There we go. Okay, so I'm going live now on Instagram, and you'll see me over there. And then you can just join me. Oh, so Gina, when we're live on Instagram, so we don't hear sound coming from two places, what we'll do is we won't mute Zoom because that's going to record us, but we'll mute the sound coming from our computers. So we'll only hear sound coming out of our phones. So we'll basically we can still look at each other on the computers if that's the best angle, but the sound that we'll hear will be from the IG live, just so we don't have sound popping in our ears from different places. So that's cool.
That works.
Okay, I'm live now on Instagram. Hello, guys. I'm ready to do a live enlightened conversation here with intuitive mentor and Feng Shui practitioner Gina Nicole. She's joining me here now. You guys can ask questions if you're inspired. There you are. Hello, hello.
Hello. I'm happy to be here. This is fun. Thanks for doing this.
This will be really fun. Hello, hello there. You guys tuning in here with. Okay. So I just muted my computer, so I only hear you from my phone now. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Okay. Well, I'm going to glance at the Instagram so that I can see questions that pop up there, but I'll also look at you in the computer so that we don't leave people out on Facebook, and this video will last the longest, the one that we're seeing in the computer. So I'm just going to tag you really quick. Live with an intuitive mentor. Mentor and Feng Shui practitioner. Oh, that's the automatic text by the iPhone just butchered Feng Shui. That was okay. FENGSHUI. Yes. Okay. Don't want to look. You can't make edits to these once you put them in. So I had to double check.
All good.
Okay. Practitioner. Oh no. Delete. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to put that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to retag because that didn't work out. Then we can start live with. Instagram doesn't let you copy and paste on this part, so this is always, I have to do this all the time up. Live with intuitive mentor at. You're just Gina Nicole, no underscore. Oh, you have underscore. Gina underscore Nicole underscore B.
Yeah.
Gina underscore Nicole underscore B. Okay, we are ready. Ask questions if inspired. Boom. Pin. Done. All right, guys. Now we are starting. Hit record on Zoom. For you guys that are here on Zoom, feel free to ask questions in the chat box. And if you're feeling social, I'll bring you on video at the end if you'd like me to. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to be here with my awesome guest. We have Gina Nicole, who is in the St. Louis, Missouri area, and came across Gina's Instagram page maybe a week or two ago, not too long ago. And I immediately reached out to her. Well, I reached out to you seconds after I came across your page. There was no long figuring out process. I said, I love the energy that you're sharing, and I told you that, and I said I appreciate you and asked you if you want to have a fun conversation with me, and here we are today. So Gina is an intuitive mentor and a Feng Shui practitioner and all-around awesome human, and just excited to flow some great energy with her today. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Gina, and if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Gina, middle name is Nicole, and the reason that I use two names is because numerology and the meaning of the names, which essentially means victory of the people, child of God. chill. Everything's energetic in my life. My journey really started with Feng Shui, so that's where it started for me. I was not well, super low vibe life, just not well in my body, not well in my mind. I was suffering from depression. I was doing things like acupuncture and things like that, and it wasn't until I applied Feng Shui that my healing super took off. Like tenfold. It really amazed me. So I learned more. I have completed 2 Feng Shui programs and have learned under, I apprenticed under a Feng Shui practitioner as well for a little bit, and dove all in. And then when I was in a Feng Shui consult, randomly, I had an angel visitation happen with a client, which I had connections with spirit, and I was always, very intuitive, highly sensitive, but I had never actually had like a full-on visitation with someone. So that ended, and that really took off, and then that's what everybody really ended up wanting, or I realized that's how I could help. So I sort of have this 3-prong approach. My practice is based in the cosmic trinity, which is mind, body, spirit, really, and home. So it's earth love, which is all about your body and your home; human love, which is all about your mind; and then heavenly love, which is the connection with spirit. So I dived in all of those areas, and that's really what I'm devoted to doing, is helping people to raise their frequency in all 3 areas so they can live a better life. That's what it all boils down to. And it's good. So big intuition that's popping, and obviously people are doing good things in their homes and just starting to really manifest good things. That's what I really loved to see. And it just so happens that people that kind of find me, they, it's always spirit-led, and they're usually empathic, they're highly sensitive, or they're a heart-centered entrepreneur that wants to give birth to something that's brewing in them.
I love it. You just inspired me in several different ways. For those of you guys that are streaming with us, if you're anywhere other than, if you're on Zoom, you guys can feel free to put questions in the chat box, or if you're feeling social, at the end I'll bring you on camera. I'm going to split screen it with Nicole for the majority of this. If you guys are on Facebook or anywhere else, feel free to join us on Zoom, and you guys can ask questions there, or you can join us on Instagram. I'm the Angel of Abundance, and join us there. So you have all the options. Just join us, and if you're inspired to ask questions, which I see one in the question box here on Instagram, which we'll definitely look at in a second. Thank you. But I love how you just shared, Gina, and just a great reminder for all of us that, for most of us, our journey, we all come here as little unconditional, loving little babies. And then for a time, a lot of us forget who we truly are and start questioning our worthiness, comparing ourselves to other humans, and wondering, why is that human, taller than me, or prettier than me, or smarter than me, or whatever it is that, we tell ourselves. And then it's always my hope for us, sooner than later, like in this moment of now, or as close to it as possible, that we remember who we truly are, that we're all just different expressions of this same stuff, this same energy. And I'm so excited that once we're aware of this, it's a forever thing. We're just going to evolve the whole time that we're here. So did your journey entail you going from unconditional loving baby to, and you kind of already hinted at this because you said you described yourself as lots of low vibe experiences in life. So I could tell that you didn't go from unconditional loving little baby to like poof, what we see here today as Gina. Some things evolved along the way, which I love just highlighting that that's pretty much how all of our journeys look. So me and Gina are going to play like in this high vibe place to empower the audience, but you obviously had to have the light bulb come on at some point. And, then how did that lead to you wanting to like help people have this awareness for themselves? Like your light bulb moment, and then leading to their helping other people with theirs. How did that all look?
Yeah, it was a combination of things. And I will say, like, I have had a really blessed life. I had a really good childhood. So I don't want to put out there that I haven't. My parents are amazing. I was blessed with really good parents. At the same time, I did have a sexual abuse trauma that they had no idea happened. I was always empathic and feeling. I was always ultra sensitive. It was always really difficult for me to like feel normal. I always felt like the black sheep for whatever reason. We are in our own stories. And I just couldn't figure it out. Like I couldn't figure it out. I had a lot of trauma in also, with my abuse story, and it was a story, I didn't realize that it actually could potentially cause the trauma that it did cause until, probably only like 15 years ago. I'm 40 this year. It's crazy. And it was really probably when I was about like 24, 25 that I really started to understand like this trauma story. It's like, oh my gosh, this actually happened. Because I forgot a lot of it. So initially it just started because I was really sick. My body went into protective mode. Like I was diagnosed with PCOS, like every autoimmune that you could possibly think of. And I just wasn't getting better. I had tried medicines, doctors, acupuncture. I just wasn't getting better. And I realized that my body was really whispering to me that something's not right and we just need for you to actually pay attention. And so that's when I really started to understand the mind-body-spirit connection, because I was doing everything with spirit. And I was like meditating 45 minutes a day. I was like really taking care, doing what I thought I could to take care of my body, like going to acupuncturists, paying attention to my diet, doing all of this. Seeing a therapist. I mean, I've been a talking doctor, every week for several years. And that's, the Feng Shui that really, I was like, oh my gosh, like when I found it, everything just flipped. And of course, I have to honor, I had done so much work before that. So I'm sure that with time, but it really took a full approach. So when that really shifted for me, I didn't want to help people with this at first. It's interesting when I was like, I actually said in an interview that I wanted to be a nurse, even though I hated blood and I didn't. They asked me like, oh, do you want to be a cowgirl when you grow up? Because it was for this interview on a ranch and I was showing horses. And I was like, no. Like, oh, what do you want to be, a nurse? I didn't want to be a nurse. I hate blood. Like, I can remember doing that interview thinking, why did I just say that? Like, I don't want to be a nurse. But I think it was within me that, like, eventually someday I just knew that maybe I wanted to help people. But of course, when you're in, like, despair, the last thing I'm thinking about when I can't breathe and I'm drowning is helping the person next to me. Like, I couldn't think about that. So it never even crossed my mind. But then when the healing really started to amplify and happen, it happened naturally. People, so that's, I'm all about not finding your purpose, but living it in every moment. I don't think our purpose is something we discover or we find. I think we have to live it and lean into what life is offering us. And that's kind of what happened for me. It's like I couldn't think about helping other people when I was so in it. But then once I started to heal and really transform, people were asking me for help, coming to me, asking me. And I was like, what is happening here? And then it just naturally unfolded, and I just kept following those whispers and following the nudges. And every day I asked myself, how can I just help one person today? And that really started back then when it was this overwhelming, oh my gosh, I did this. I guess I could help people, but I don't really know. But that was never my whole vision. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what they say, when we're on planes, secure your oxygen mask first before putting on any of the oxygen mask from anyone else. Because if you don't have anything left because you can't breathe anymore, then you're not going to be securing many other people's anyways. So super important. We have to fill our own cup first, and you just described that so beautifully. And I like what you said about purpose, because I think it's important, because a lot of times people can stress themselves out about what's my purpose, what am I supposed to be doing, and all that stuff, almost like it's a mandate where you have become you're a failure in life if you don't do this and this. That doesn't exist anywhere. That wasn't written on our birth certificates on the back. If you look at it, it doesn't say your purpose is you need to do this and this, and you're required to help this many people or else you failed in this human. That's not what any of us came here for. In fact, we came here and we embodied these physical avatars. Mine's called Noelle. Yours is called Gina. Yours is called whatever yours is out there. And by embodying this physical avatar, we knew we were going to have human experiences. And by having all of these human experiences, we knew that we were going to evolve as our souls, our spirits, our energy, who we truly are, is going to evolve as a result of all the painful experiences and all the blissful ones and all the ones in between. And so when we realize that, and we're creators, so these human experiences also are going to add to all that is. So by Gina now, leaning into, what she considers like what she's purposeful in doing now because she enjoys it, like what she does with Feng Shui and being an intuitive mentor. This is what feels good to her in the moment. So as a result of sharing that with other people, ideas, whatever she's helping them do, and I'm gonna get into in a second specifically. Now she's adding to all that is. She's adding to the collective, and so are everybody out there. You are too. So you're not mandated to do anything, but whatever you feel drawn to right now that lights you up, that you feel good in the moment doing, it's a great step to do from where you are now. What you'll be doing a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, for the rest of your life that isn't promised to any of us, because what's promised is now. We'll get to that when we get to it, and it'll still be now, and then lean into that moment of life, and then you may choose to do the same thing you're doing now or something totally different. But either way, it's all an evolution process. And I just love to give people that piece because you're not required to do anything. Like nobody is saying you must do this or else you failed as a human. That doesn't exist.
No, I totally agree. And I do, while I do think, and I know and I've experienced it, there's for sure hints, like there's tips. I am leaning into all of the tools. Whether it's, tarot is beautiful to facilitate our life, destiny cards, our astrology, our Vedic astrology. Like I'm always leaning into all of it. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's just not, it's not laid out. Like it's for us to experience. That's what this journey is. That, us being human, and we just have all of these tools that can help us to raise our frequencies so that we can do it in an optimal way.
Absolutely, Feng Shui is one of these tools, and I want to hit on this because I think it's super interesting and not something that I've had that many conversations about. So I think it'll be super interesting for the audience, like where your passion lies when it comes to that, and just giving us like whatever wants to flow out of you as far as how this tool has been useful for you and then for your clients as a practitioner. What's that look like?
It's such a great question. It's a loaded question, especially right now, because it's not like this was planned. I think that there's this huge energetic rush on the planet right now to really address our environments, especially just given the pandemic. Everybody's in their home or they're in their office a lot more than we're used to being. So there's this huge energetic push, and I just think it's so funny because it's all so aligned. But there's so much to share around this. I actually just created and am launching at the end of this month. I have about 35 people testing it. A play-by-play Feng Shui course where I take people through each room. You can go room by room, and I do it according to the elements. So the way that I do, let me back up. The way that I was taught Feng Shui is very like old school, like that doomsday. Oh my gosh, everything's so like. I don't even want to lean into it because there's so much potentially that's wrong. And I don't view Feng Shui as like that's a bad Feng Shui or good Feng Shui. I view it as this is where the energy is. Like this is just where it is. So I was taught that way, like from this very like strict place, but I practice from a very intuitive feminine place, and that is how I like to teach it. Where, we really have to vibe with our home as it's a living thing. Like I view my home as a living family member. I view my home as an opportunity for discussion. I'm actually creating this ebook right now that's all about like if walls could talk and what the windows and the walls and the floor, like what it's all saying, because I do think that it all talks. So that's the way that I approach it. I approach it and teach it in a way where, yes, we have to honor our element and our makeup, but at the same time, like we can't look at it like it's doomsday or that's going to be the result that we get. So that's the first piece that I would like to offer. I think so many people I can't even tell you how many times I hear, is it bad Feng Shui if? And like
people love to label, don't they? We love to label energy so much. And it's like good and bad and right and like says who, and it just is. Like I love how you said that. The energy just is. And in 2020 and beyond, we can measure the frequencies of this energy in this moment in so many different ways. Like I've been to events where I've seen energy measured from my brain and from my heart and from. So I want you to continue, but yeah, labels of energy is. I love that you said that right off the bat because that's just what we do as humans because we're trying to describe something that really is a frequency. Then we're trying to label it with a word, but it just is. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. So can you raise the frequency? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and that's called Feng Shui in 5, and the idea is that we can take 5 minutes, and there's 5 points, and we can do it in 5 days and have a huge shift, and 5 is the number of transformation. It doesn't have to be like really huge things, really big change. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be really easy and intuitive, and it can be a very loving process that's fun. And then we get to see results. How I like to invite people to view the energy is imagining if, your front door was the mouth, and it was the mouth of a dam, or the mouth of the chi, it's the mouth of energy, and all of the energy is moving through the front door. If your front door was letting in a whole bunch of water, how would the water move through your home? Would it crash against corners? Would it crash against furniture? Or would it just nicely flow through the home? Is there clutter there that's and the goal is to have it be really smooth and have it be like waves that just sort of gently moves around corners. So that's always the invitation. And there's plenty of things that we can do to, it's like, I always say that Feng Shui is to the whole, like what acupuncture is to the body. So our remedies are like little needles. But at the same time, I've done it where I have a subtle energy practice, and it wasn't anything that I've learned in school or from a teacher. I have a subtle energy practice that I use in teach, where you can do Feng Shui without even having to make a single purchase, just by using visualization, imagination, intention. It's a process of intention. So there really is a way that everybody could incorporate this, and in a lot of ways, the whole world is really doing it. And they just don't even know. How many times do you hear people say, I'm decluttering, I'm purging? Well, that's always the first step. It's a basic step of Feng Shui principle, So, yeah, lots of good stuff to uncover with it.
I love it. I love it. I love anything, Gina, that allows it, because all that matters to me, I'm very simple. All I care about is what my vibration, my energy is in this present moment of now, which is all that exists for any of us. And I've become hyper focused on only that, which that makes life so simple for me, and it gives me so much peace, because that's all that I have to focus on, and every area of my life is going to be a reflection of that. My health, my relationships, my abundance, every area is going to be just a reflection of this moment and this moment and this moment, and I'm putting energy into whatever matters to me, and then now we have physical manifestation, for all of us. So if we put energy that is frustrated and angry and worried and upset and rageful into our relationship, is that relationship going to manifest physically awesome, beautiful bliss? Or is it going to manifest frustration, angry, worry? It's going to be a rough relationship. And that goes for our health. It's all intertwined. It's all part of it. So, and we're all energy. Everything is energy. So it matters so much. And this is why I got excited to talk with you, because if someone is noticing their energy and they're not feeling at ease or at peace in their home for whatever reason, that could be a combination of a lot of things. It can definitely help to improve the vibration in how you're describing, for people. So I love it. Anything that I could be outside, and since my intention is what I just described, a bird flies by, I'm like, oh, look at that cool bird. Frequency just raised. So I'm just present, and I'm just it matters. And if it matters to us, you'll start to look for ways to raise your frequency ongoing. And this is a beautiful way. So I love what you just described.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's really important, and that's what I'm all about, is frequency, and just giving people as many tools as we can to raise their frequency. Not to say that low vibe is not good, because look, right now with this corn moon, everything that's out, this week in particular, in my members and people that I'm talking to, I'm always I'm really stressing. Emotions are really big this week, and it's not we had our phone call and we were focused on, for the whole time, I was focused on, listen, these emotions are really good and they're beneficial. This is what they mean. If you're experiencing this emotion, this is what it means, and this is what it's nudging you to do, right? So Feng Shui can really work in a very similar way. Our emotions hold a frequency, so do colors, so does furniture, so does, all of it. All of it holds a frequency, as you're saying. So and again, it's not bad. It's just an opportunity for shift. It's an opportunity for change and for optimal experience. Because it all has I'm going through a whole bunch of changes in my business, just the back end of my business right now. And as I'm doing them, I'm redoing everything in my office. Everything that you're looking at now is going to go away in a minute. Next month, this will probably all be different. Even though I love this picture, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for a shift in frequency. It's just really interesting. And the other thing with that is that everything has intention. So like this picture, for example, is actually from a tarot card, and it's from the Awakening or Hanged Man tarot card, and it really reminded me Archangel Gabriel, who's the archangel that's connected with creativity and also mothership. And I'm not a mom; I've never had biological children, but I'm a stepmom. And so when I purchased this, and I'm sitting in the abundance and wealth sector of my home, which is not just about money. But when I purchased this, I was really going through a struggle with my relationship as a stepmom and what that really meant to me. So I purchased this with the intention and set the intention around helping me to shift my perspective and be a nurturer in all ways. So everything, it's like everything in our space we have to look at, well, now that doesn't resonate with me anymore, so it's going to go. It's just, so it's always like this fun puzzle that we get to do and create and work with.
I love it. And just what you described is such a beautiful reminder because it's always evolving. So just because that picture and that space resonated when she created it, Gina, obviously when she set it up that way, a year later or a day later or 5 years later, something else may resonate. And it's okay to allow ourselves to evolve. And I notice us you inspired me when you were sharing what you were sharing a second ago, how we like to judge the energy that we're in, like the frequency, and like we beat ourselves up because we're not feeling blissed out of our minds. And unfortunately, when we judge our energy and we make ourselves wrong for it or beat ourselves up because maybe we're not feeling all happy and joyful for whatever reason, unfortunately, that makes us feel worse because energy is all momentum. And so if you're focusing on something and you're like, oh, I should be further along, or this isn't going how I planned, and all these things, and this is your thought process. I'm not saying you're right or wrong for thinking this way. All I'm saying is pay attention to your energy, because are you going to feel worse or better after that thought process completes, as you're beating yourself up for it? You're going to feel totally worse, which unfortunately now there's going to be other thoughts that come into your mind, like now you're asking yourselves, are you good enough? And you're feeling shame and you're feeling powerless and you're like, maybe this isn't for me. And it's a vicious cycle if we don't pay attention to it. So I'm just all about being aware of the energy and noticing it and not judging it. And if you're aware of it and you're like, okay, I don't have to continue focusing on this thing the way that I'm focusing on it right now, because I'm trying to figure out how can I be healthier, how can I make more money, or how can I attract the relationship, the partner that I want. And me trying to figure this out right now, it's not my work to figure out how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen or who it's going to be. And so I noticed that the longer I try to figure this out, the more anxious I'm becoming and the worse I feel. So I'm happy that I'm actually paying attention and appreciating this. So now I can release it, which immediately upon the release, your frequency raises just right off the bat. And now you can put your attention into something else. Maybe it's your animals, your business, your exercises you like to do, taking a nap, meditation, anything that you can put your attention on besides that thing that you're trying to figure out right now, which is not time for you to figure out. And now your frequency is going to raise even more. And then the funny thing that happens is those questions that we have of how can I make more money, or how can I be healthier, how can I attract the relationship, they're answered for us when a lot of times we're not paying any attention to that right now. We're doing something where we're just in the flow. We're just enjoying life. We're at peace. We're showing love to someone or being kind. And all of a sudden we get a great idea, whether it's in meditation or we're in the shower or when we're out in nature or whatever. And this is just how life is going to work for all of us. So
that's really true. And
yeah.
to that point too, I just want to add, because this is really important. It's something that happened because for me it was pretty mind blowing, and it was like me taking in my own medicine. Our homes and our spaces actually have a lot of our answers, because we surround ourselves with what we value, and we surround ourselves with what we're vibing. And so, just as an example to this, in my career sector of my home, I've had a Merkaba place there for I don't even know how long. It's this beautiful gold Merkaba. And then also in the creativity sector of our home, I have 2 other little gold Merkabas that are there. So I have 3 Merkabas total. And I've been sort of in my own business. I'm like, something that people are really confused is the customer journey. When they come to me, and they usually people find me just because they're like, I don't know how I found you. It's always spirit led. And they don't know where to start. And my response is always well, I don't really know how to, I can't tell you where my brand is intuitive, so that's really counterintuitive. I tell you exactly what answer was literally in 3 spots in my home. Like, I intended that. You know, does that make sense? Like, it was right there, and it was literally what was trying to birth. And it was like I'm burping. Whenever I burp, I'm always like, think that it's like really important information. They're like screaming. So it's also really like our homes have a lot of our answers. It's really wild. I mean, legit, concrete, literal answers are you know, it is absolutely wild. Like, if we have, you know, my husband a couple weeks ago was having sort of a thing with with my stepson, and I was like, you know, and I looked at the windows, and your windows in your home are significant, and they resemble communication with children, amongst other things. And I noticed that like all of our windows were dirty, and so I went to him and I was like, look, I don't think the communication's clear, and it wasn't, and he had to just correct it. But I knew to like lean into our home for answers. Does that make sense? Like, it is wild how much our walls literally talk. We just don't listen.
Well, this is awesome, Gina, and I love how you took what I like to share with people a lot. You're taking it further now, which is, I have so much appreciation for this, because I'll use you as an example now in sharing this, so it'll be even more powerful for people. But it just highlights how we can have answers show up at any time, from anywhere, from anyone, in any moment. Answers from the windows in the house, answers from things that are already around. This just highlights that point even more. Like, if we can just release on how the answers are going to come, or when, or what it's going to look like, because we think that we know where we're going to find it, which we don't. Yeah, Google's a great resource, but the answer might not come from Google. It might come from your home, or from anywhere else, or from someone that you just meet while you're crossing the street, and you just share a smile, and then they just share something, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what you just shared? Like, say that again. Or they're holding a book that you're like, what's that book? It could happen in so many different ways. So you just took that further. I love that you share that way, because it's so true. They can come from anywhere if we're just open to it and we're allowing the answers to come.
Yeah, it's data. I mean, your intuition is amazing. It's on point, but it needs data to pull from. So it's data. So whether it's going to be and that's what I've really learned on my journey. Like, for me, it was Feng Shui and learning about the house and really diving in and learning about all this stuff. So it doesn't matter where you pull from, but your intuition needs data to pull from, right? So like that, I loved how you just said that. Like, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, but the whole point in that is like you have to do something. If you want to live this spiritually connected life with God, you have to do something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when Gina says data to pull from, what I take that as is every life experience that we have, action that we take, every life experience gives us more data to pull from. So now the universe can bring synchronicities to it, because that's just synchronicity. What Gina described, our whole entire life experience is synchronicity. We can't predict any of this specifically. And so that's why I always encourage everyone, if you're ever inspired to take any action, like if there's even a curiosity, like a slight curiosity, go take that action, because that now you're giving yourself more data. You're giving yourself another life experience that now the universe can flow a synchronicity that could be totally seemingly unrelated. Like, you think you're going to do something for your career, for abundance, but really it's the relationship that you've been looking for that's waiting for you there. Or someone suggests something that now helps you be healthier than you've ever been. It's just, we don't need to know which area of life that is going to can impact all of them. But if we take the life experience, get the new data, then yes, like the synchronicities will fill in. But can we release and like trust that, like, do we have to know all the hows and the whys and the whens and the whos? Like, if we need that, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. It's going to be a rough journey. And I've been here. Like, I used to need to know, I used to be the I'll be happy when guy. So it's like, all right, I got to figure all this out now, because I need this, this, and this in order to be happy. All this external stuff to be happy on the inside. I thought I did. But then when I realized, wait, that's not needed at all. Like, all this external stuff that we want, why do we want it? It's because when we have it, we feel like we're going to be happier because of having it. So if I'm doing it for the happiness, and I can cultivate happiness now just by being content and peaceful and appreciative and counting my blessings here and now, why don't I just do that? And then wait a minute, you tell me by doing that, we're going to reflect more happy things externally anyways? Well, I'll just do that. That's the simplicity of life if we allow it to be that. So I love it.
Right on.
I love it. It's awesome. This is very valuable stuff. If you guys have questions, put them in the question box. And so for you as an intuitive mentor, when somebody's coming to you and you have these, the feng shui things that you can teach, and you have all these other beautiful awarenesses that you've, come to be conscious of and that you can share. are you when you're working with people, like whether it be one-on-one or a group, sounds like you have a community. You mentioned a full moon like group thing that you did. Is it you just sharing like just a bits of all this different stuff, or are you going like specific? Like how does your flow work with all of your business right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, as I was just saying, the journey, or for somebody that's working with me, firstly, I give a lot of free content. So there's people that are just there, or they're in my Facebook group, the Frequency Key, or they're, journey. Like I have a whole discovery vault. So there's a lot of people that aren't even ready to like really invest or take the leap. And there's so much content that I offer for just starting out. Like if you want to like ABC's angelic connection, or shifting from like a novice card reader to a more professional card reader, I have like little classes and little mini series, all of that. So there's that, and then of course I work with people one-on-one, and then I have I have my Angel and Tarot certification, of course, with the DIY. So those are for people that are like beginning intuition and wanting to work with angels and tarot to use to facilitate. There's that. There's the play-by-play feng shui for people that want to like lean in and dive into their homes and raising the frequency of their homes. Then I have a more advanced intuition class. And then I have the membership, the mentorship. And the membership is where the juice really happens. It sort of supports all of that. Like, if anybody ever wants ongoing support with any of the classes that I teach or anything like that. And I love that group. I love the container. It's a safe space. Right now it's all women. We run every 6 months. And I definitely had men in there in the past, but right now we're a container of all women. And we have 2 group calls. We have a full moon call and a new moon call where we really align with the energies of the moon. And then we have a group clearing with a medical intuitive, because I really do believe that your body needs to stay high vibe. So he really helps us all to keep our bodies high vibe while we're doing the mind spirit homework. He really is that added support to our bodies. So it's my goal in that is to really just show up in full transparency and vulnerability and share what I'm moving through, and doing it together and providing a safe space to do it together, no matter where you're at on the frequency spectrum, so that you can get to where you're going. So we always come up with a goal every 6 months, and we lean into that. But it's really about aligning with the energies, aligning with the cycles, and just doing whatever we can to raise the shit out of our vibration. That's what my goal is. So they always say, like, I show up every Monday morning. I do a live, like, in my pajamas with my hair all crazy, and we meditate together and do, so it's fun, and it's my passion, and it's just a loving group, and they're all, really wanting, it's a shared community, because we all want to raise our frequency and live in that really high vibe space. So with all of it, or with any of it, that's really what this is all about. Like, that's what I'm really, so that's why there's like angels, tarot, feng shui, it's just tools. And I always tell people to start where you're most resistant. So sometimes people will come to me and say, oh, I really want to, I want to be intuitive and I want to connect with my angels. And I'm like, well, how's your house? What's your, how's the frequency of your body? How are you eating? So it's like, oh yeah, I don't want to lean into that. It's like, start where you're most resistant. Like, let's feel into where you're most resistant, because that's probably the space that there's the most potential for growth. So yeah, does that make sense? Does that kind of give you an idea?
Absolutely. No, I love what you're doing, and I love that the intention was to raise the shit out of your frequency. This is what quoting Gina. I love that, and I want to remind everybody out there, because this is important. And when we talk about, because you mentioned no matter where we are on the frequency scale, and all of these things, like I just always want to remind that frequency and energy, it's only ever in the moment. However, as human beings, we're very habitual, and we think on average 70,000 thoughts per day. And so it becomes, by the time we're 30, it's like over 90% of our thoughts are habits. We thought the same thoughts yesterday, we'll think the same thoughts tomorrow. And if we're not aware of it, we'll just continue on like that. So when Gina's describing where you are on the frequency scale, it becomes very predictable where you're living. Like, your life is, you're pretty much in similar frequencies. If you're frustrated, like anxious, if you're being that, you're not going to label you as that person. But if right now you're being frustrated and anxious, then right now you're being frustrated and anxious. And we just use those words to label a frequency in the moment. If that's become a habit for you, it's not that you're a bad person, but we all have people in our life where, or have had in the past, where the glass was always for some reason half empty. And to me, I'm like, the glass to me looks this way, and I'm going to focus on what we're creating. And so it's all a choice. But I love the awareness of it, because as you do practices with Gina and with people out there, if that's your intention to raise your frequency in that moment, I love about life, once we feel frequencies that maybe before we didn't even know existed, like consciously, or that we can get to them like in so many different ways. It's like, ooh, like I like this frequency. I like living this way. So now it matters to you. Now you felt it and you're like, I want to live life in this frequency as much as I can. So now you may not be as willing to notice yourself starting to judge or condemn someone, and you're like, oh, that feels a little bit off. And you might not be willing to spend your whole day like that because you enjoy the frequency that you're feeling with Gina, and you're like, I'm going to start practicing living life in this frequency. And then you start seeing the reflections in the external world of living life in that frequency. You're like, my relationships are better, my health is better, my finances are better. You're like, I want to live more like this. And so let's raise, because we're unlimited beings, and there's like, it doesn't stop. Like, we're going to evolve. Gina's evolving, I'm evolving. Everybody out there, we're going to evolve the whole time that we're here. So we'll experience frequencies that a year ago you didn't even know existed. And now you're like, wow, like, this is awesome. Like, I want to experience this more. And then once it matters to you, then you'll practice. And if we practice anything, we're going to get better at it. And then that'll be our new spectrum of frequency, where this is just how we're showing up on a moment by moment, day by day basis. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I think it's really powerful. I think my favorite person, my favorite client is the person that comes to me and they're like, oh, and I'm sure you've heard this too, maybe even felt it. I know I have these where they're like, oh, I'm such an empath that I can't be in this world, and I can't, like, everything is, I'm so affected by everybody's emotions and the drama and the this and that. I feel everything, and but the truth is, when you raise your frequency to that point in that scale of, where it's super high vibe and it's, you're there like you're home, and you keep that home frequency of acceptance and surrender and true unconditional love, nobody can affect you. Nobody's frequency can shake you, can't touch you. You are unconditional. So that's, and I'm sure you've met those people. And like I said, I used to be one of those empaths that was like, oh, I'm empathetic, I can't be around you.
I already know what you were going to say.
Such an old crutch, because it's like, wow, when I really started to learn about frequency and how it works, it's like, no, like when I reach that home frequency, like that can't shake me. Nothing shakes me.
Your options are, with me, is either play with me here, where we're going to enjoy life in the moment. We're going to be at peace. We're going to be at ease. If a momentum kicks in, we're going to be happy. We're going to be excited. We're going to be enjoying ourselves. We're going to be sharing passionately. This is where I want to play, especially if I'm co-creating with other humans, which our entire life is a co-creation. So if in the moment you're not willing to come play with me here, don't worry, I'm not coming to play with you in frustrated or worried or condemnation or blaming or judging. I'm not coming to play with you there. So we're just going to choose not to play with each other right now. But it's okay. I'm not making you wrong for it. You can choose to play there all day, every day if you want. Don't be surprised that the reflections of your life are going to be from that. You're not going to ever come home after a day of condemning and cussing people out all day and like having this frequency. But it's been the most blissful day ever. Like, I have met so many cool people and had so many great... This is not a story that you're going to tell. It's going to be a more challenging day, which we've all had. So for me, I just like being aware of what frequency, and I love that you said that, Gina. I already knew you were going there, because I hear a lot of times people giving their power away to other people that say, oh, when I'm around this person, like they just suck my energy away. Energy vampires. Your energy is more powerful than that. Yes, right now they may not be experiencing life in the version of themselves that they truly are, that they really would like to be. But compassion really is, can I maintain my frequency of being who I truly am, being unconditionally loving, and look at them with that unconditional love through those eyes, so that I can, that's what true compassion is. Not saying, oh, until you came here, I was like in such a good mood and now I'm not. There's no power in that. You just gave all your power away, and that's not true. Like, you just chose to join them in that frequency. So it's one or the other. People are either going to join you, or you're going to join them, or you're going to both choose not to spend time around each other. But it's one of these options. So
I agree. Yeah, and recently, like in my own practice, I've been taking it like a step. I'm not afraid of the shadow. I dive deep into shadow work, and lately, especially with the pandemic, with so many equity issues and like racial injustice that has been coming up, like, I'm also not about spiritual bypassing or ignoring that, because I do also appreciate that I'm doing everything that I can do to keep a high vibe and keep a high frequency. And it is so that I'm not, like, affected, or that it doesn't drain me, so that I can hold space for those beautiful, loving aspect too. And I just want to acknowledge or point out that, because I never want to, I'm not about toxic positivity either. So I just wanted to make sure.
This goes back to how we started the conversation, Gina. If you want to hold space for someone, you can only do that with your oxygen mask on. So if you're not being who you truly are in that moment, you're not holding space for anyone. You have nothing to give from someone from an empty cup. So your cup is filled and overflowing, which is, if we have just an abundance of overflow that we can share with as many humans as we choose to share. Just make sure that you're connected, you're being loved, you're not judging and condemning in those moments. And then you have as much to give as you want. And for me, it's just about awareness. And it's just like, if we're aware of what our right now frequency is, now we have a choice. What you choose to do out there, you'll never hear me say you should or shouldn't choose any. You choose what you want. Just don't be surprised with what reflects from that vibration. It's very simple. Just start paying attention to that. There's a question here that I like. Raymond C., who's awesome. He does lots of cool conversations with people. I talked to him a few weeks ago. This question here, as far as, is a frequency related to a habit or a thought? And if you have thoughts, how do you weight it as a frequency? I just want to say on that, if you think about, because a lot of times people will talk about channeling and like flowing, things through. Just think about a radio station. Like, for all of us that are old enough to remember radios, that you actually had to tune the tuner. Like, if you wanted to listen to, to R&B or to country or to rock or whatever, you couldn't just say, so you couldn't just turn the dial anywhere. You had to go to the actual radio frequency where that channel was. So you can channel that information, that music, that sound out from the radio. Well, we're the same thing as human beings. Like, if we think about it, if we're in a frequency that we label as, angry or upset or frustrated, do we think we're going to have loving thoughts channeled to us from that frequency? Is that we're going to speak loving words from an angry frequency? We're going to take loving actions? It's not going to happen. Our thoughts are always going to be a match to the frequency that we're in the moment every single time. So to give everybody peace out there, if you have important things that you want to be speaking or thinking about, things that are important in your life, just be mindful of what your present moment frequency is, your vibration. And if I know I'm connected, like right now, my intention is to empower the audience. So it doesn't matter to me what comes out of my mouth, because it's from a frequency of intention of empowerment, which is a very powerful frequency. I'm being who I truly am. I'm connected to God, love, universe, source, spirit, all that is. And whatever wants to come out from there is going to be from that frequency, and that's what you feel for me. Same thing with Gina. Same thing with you out there. So it's just great to be mindful of it, because we don't have to worry so much about the thoughts. Now, the thoughts are great indicators also, because maybe you're not paying attention to your frequency. So if you are finding yourself speaking a story that is disempowering of yourself or others, or cussing someone out or judging someone or blaming someone, your words are just an indication of your thoughts. And your thoughts are just an indication of your right now vibration. If you just pay attention to those, whatever indicator that you need, if you need to wait till you get to a word, hopefully you can start catching it before that, when it's just like a feeling where it's like, I don't feel so well right now. Then you don't have to think thoughts about anything that's important right now. You can just be mindful of your vibration. And you definitely have to say words to people. Like, you're not going to have a conversation with me if I'm not feeling at ease and at peace. Don't worry, we're not going to be talking. Like, that's not a time for me to talk to you or for you to talk to me. Like, anybody that chooses to have conversations with other human beings from a vibration of any of the frequencies where they just don't feel so good, just get the apology note ready, like, afterwards, because you're going to say things that you're just going to go back and say, that wasn't really me. Like, I was in a rough spot, and so I wanted to save all that and just keep your mouth shut until you can return to being who you truly are. And then you can have the conversation, and it'll be empowering, and you can actually speak to each other with love. That's my advice.
Yeah. And to add to that, I could also say, just something as a gentle thought or something to think about, for you, for the person that asked the question, is, we have to also consider, because thought has frequency, emotion has frequency, food has frequency, your home has frequency, your connection with spirit. So it's not just like, if I am angry, that is a very, it is on a spectrum, it is a lower vibration. And then when you're angry or you're experiencing those low vibes, you're probably wanting to just eat bad or, not do the dishes and be in it. So just as like a thinking point is, you can affect the overall vibration by also maybe eating some really high vibe foods, eating chemical sunlight foods, spirulina, or doing a little declutter of the home. So it's not just about one like all of these different things, the colors that we're wearing. I mean, we really can affect emotion and thought with other things too. It's not just one thing. So
True story. It's all of it creates a frequency in the present moment, and that's what matters. I just like to make sure that we don't expect ourselves to be having loving, blissful thoughts if we're in a frequency that we would label as anger or jealousy, or I just don't expect that from yourself. That's not. We wouldn't expect that from the radio. If you want to listen to rock, don't turn to the hip hop station and be mad at the hip hop station because you're not hearing rock. You're not going to hear rock on that station. So it's just great to be aware of it, and also how we judge the different things that we judge. Like you mentioned, like colors, for instance, which all have their own frequency and vibration. But someone can say, like, "Oh my gosh, that green is so beautiful." I look at it, and someone else will be like, "I hate green." Like, look at that. So you also have to be careful of like how you're judging the things, because that's just the frequency of that green. That's just the frequency in and of itself. But your judgment of it is actually what's affecting your vibration even more than just the appreciation of, oh, look at the cool, like look what the frequency of green makes up. Like, look at that cool, item of clothing, or that whatever it is. So it's
well said. I always have a test that I always like to do, and I'll always share with people, which some of you, I see some names that have done this before, that are here, but I'd love to do, and shout out to Kelly if she watches this, because she really brought it back into my resonance, back into my field, and it was something that was discussed like a long time ago with either fresh herbs or lemons, but I've been really called to lemons. You can place them throughout your home. Lemons are super, super high hertz, and so if you place them throughout your home and you start to notice like how they age, you want a lemon to really like age dark. If it starts to get like spots or like white mold or weird green colors, then you know that the frequency in your space and around you is lower vibe, and to shift it, or to do something about it. And then you can use Feng Shui to break it up like in the Bagua map. So if you're wanting to know like how career opportunity is, placing a lemon at the front door or the bottom center of your home from the front door, and watching how the lemon does, it's really quite fascinating because it gives you insight into where you're vibing.
Super interesting. There's all sorts of little fun tools out there. This is why I highly recommend remaining open to lots of different. This is why I love these conversations, because it's like, that's interesting. I love that. Shout out to, who was that, Kelly? Thank you for bringing that to Gina's awareness so she could bring it to ours.
Yeah, Kelly, she's super great. She's in the membership. I just love. Yeah, it's just amazing how the collective, conscious collective, and she actually is somebody that does space clearing, and so she's really dialed into spaces, and she brought that back to me about a year ago, and I was like, why did I ever stop doing this? And herbs, I use fresh herbs too, that you could do that with if you don't have lemons on hand.
We're all in this together. What I want to know from you, Gina, is a question I love asking everybody, because if I ask you this a year from now, you'll have another year of life experience, and this will be what you share now and evolve from there because of the new data that you have. So what's your vision like for everything you're doing now in your life, or if you've thought about like, this would be an awesome humanity to live in, or whatever it is, any vision that you have right now, I would love to hear it.
That's a great question, especially for today, because this morning I just got off the phone with a mentor and we talked about this.
I love it.
We talked about a year from now, how do I really envision my life and my business.
Wait, 1 second before you go. To me, it doesn't matter the timeline. You can share a year from now if you want. To me, it's just like, as of this moment, September 3rd, 2020, Gina's vision for her life, for humanity, anything that you want to share. To me, I leave the time element to the universe, because it could happen tomorrow. It could happen later today. It could happen anytime. But this is what I see, and then I let the synchronicities take care of the time element.
Got it. Yeah, I like that. I think it's a matter of, one of the things, I have so much information that I'm passionate about that has really helped me to shift. And one of the things that I'm setting my life up for is just to be able to reach more people, to reach more voices, to reach more homes, so that people can start to understand the mind-body-spirit connection, as well as the home. Like, I think that the home's not integrated into that enough, so I really just want to, that is what my goal is, what my dream is, and ultimately, it is for a more peaceful world. It's for get the information that I absolutely know works for me, and just to share it with more people.
I love that. I love that so much. And I haven't, like I mentioned, I haven't had many conversations yet with those that are talking about and starting with the vibration of the home, that like matters to them because it obviously is important. So I love what you're doing because that's super important. And I'm setting the intention now to collaborate with more of you guys that are focusing on, because I saw it. I was like, me and Gina are going to have an awesome conversation because this is something that I want to be shared, because if it uplifts anyone that's watching now live, which, by the way, if you're watching live, share this stream. It'll be on IG and Facebook and everywhere for 24 hours. Share this so that people can tune in and be impacted by it. And definitely connect with Gina, which I'm going to ask you one more question, and then also you plug anything that you want them to know about. But definitely connect with Gina on Instagram and anywhere else that we put links here for her to connect with as this is out in the world. But, anything else that you want to share that somebody could listen to this 50 years from now. And that's why I love the internet, because it's just this conversation will live on long after we're gone, 100 years from now, or however long it is. But anything that could be just reiterating something you've already shared or squeezing some more juice out. You're like, you know what? I want to make sure that the audience is aware of this whenever they hear this. It could be any subject of life, but anything else that you want to share.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm always stressing that we didn't touch on, and so I just want to, and this is like nothing new age about this. This is years old. And so I think it's always going to apply no matter what. But there's 3 entry points to your home where energy enters. It's your front door, your stove, and the middle of your home. And so really pay attention to and love on those areas, because that is where energy is coming in from the world that is connecting us to everyone. It's not only finding you, but it moves through your space and then goes outward to what you are delivering. So I really just want to stress and invite everyone to pay attention to their front door, their stove, and the very center of your home if your home was a tic-tac-toe grid. And just spend a little time today when you're listening to this, just loving on all 3 of those areas and doing what you can to love them. Make sure that you love them. Because not only what's creating you, again, it's also what you're putting out.
I love that. That's great. Such great advice. I will take that advice myself and pay attention to it. Thank you for sharing that. This is why I always make sure to ask that question, because if that wasn't said, it wouldn't have felt like a complete conversation. We needed that to make the conversation feel even more complete. And Gina, I'm just going to affirm that this is our first co-creation, and that we'll co-create together more whenever timing is right, because you're awesome. And I love the energy that you share with, and that how you're showing up in the world, and that your intention is just to raise your frequency and help others raise theirs. And what else is there really for us? That's going to allow us to enjoy these lives, to have fun, to be fulfilled, and everything else. To me, when people say, what do you like? To me, my life is simple. It's just about how much fun I can have and how much fulfillment I can have. And really those things are interchangeable. Those things are interconnected, all of those things. So I appreciate you for sharing all of your love. And anything you want the audience to know as far as connecting with you, besides just connecting on Instagram and the Facebook groups that you have, or anything that you want to tell them about?
I mean, if Feng Shui is something that's interesting, I do a Feng Shui Friday in my Facebook group. We're going to do it. Feng Shui tips and tricks. I actually have an oracle card deck that I built. It's like Feng Shui and angel messages. Sometimes we'll pull out the oracle cards and I'll remote you into people's homes. So that's always fun. And then Mondays I do an angel message Monday where it's choose a card, get a message. And then Tuesdays are intuition Tuesdays. So it's a really fun place to be, to grow. You want to grow intuitively with spirit, Feng Shui. Again, it's all about raising your vibration. It's called the frequency key. So you can find it there, and we're always just having fun, upbeat discussions and staying in the group, bro.
I love it. You're awesome, Gina. You have a beautiful energy, and I appreciate you coming to play with me here today with all the audience. And
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, all of you guys that tuned in with us live, I feel your energy too. I appreciate you guys, and definitely share this. And when this is out on iTunes, leave a review that says that Gina human is awesome, and I became aware of this, this, and this. I pay attention now to my front door, my stove in the middle of my home. Thank you so much, Gina. And I'll make sure I tag her, and it'll make it easier for people to find this episode, and you'll be the reason that somebody else has their life impacted as a result. So I love the 2020 world we live in, with all this easy access to each other. And I don't even know how I came across Gina's page, but the universe just brings. I've had a story from the beginning that the universe just brings me awesome people to collaborate with, and I don't ever have to. It's not very difficult to find, especially with the Instagram world and the social media world. You just were brought onto my page. You're like, she's awesome, and then voice note, and here we are. So thank you for.
I love it. It's been so fun, and likewise, you have an amazing energy. Yeah.
We're reflections of each other, as you know. There's just why I always know that the people that I'm meant to collaborate with it'll be very easy and in the flow because we're just reflecting and our intention is the same. We're just doing it in our ways, expressing our energy here as we all are, just in different ways and these physical avatars, but we're all the same. We're all the same stuff, all of us. So don't think you're any better or worse than anybody out there. Don't think anybody's any better or worse than you. You're all the same stuff. It's like the ocean is right there. I'm here right by the Atlantic Ocean, and can you imagine the waves saying, "Oh, I'm better than you because I'm bluer or bigger or colder or warmer"? Like that'd be silly, right? So us doing that as humans when we're the same stuff, we're just waves in the same ocean of all that is. It's kind of silly. So don't do that. I love it. Well, sending you guys all so much love out there. Have a beautiful day. Whenever you hear this, share this on Instagram and everywhere else. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop the stream, Gina, and I'm going to say bye to you. 1 second. Let me share this on Instagram. Bye, Instagram world. Appreciate you guys. Whoever's hearting, I appreciate you. Awesome. Okay, I can hear you back on the Zoom. Can you hear?
Perfect. Yeah.
You're awesome. That was so much fun.
It was so much fun. Yeah, thank you. Hey, Donna, Pam, for being here. Love you, ladies.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Yes, definitely affirming that there will be more co-creations and with your membership stuff. Are the ladies tuning in? Are they they're part of your membership?
Donna is, yeah. Pam is not. Pam used to be, but she's out. Pam is in the group. She's in the conversation. She's doing, yeah. Her and her sister both are always like in the flow and in the discussion.
I love it. I'll plant this seed with you, Gina. I always love anytime that people have found the value where they just want to keep experiencing and continue growing. That's why memberships are beautiful. The way that I see the world is, especially when people are coming together to create value, and it's just an ongoing. It's a forever thing, and we all have just different value that we can share in our different ways. The way I see the world is, if people are impacted by a good movie or a book or anything, they're going to share it anyways. So what I like to do is allow people to monetize in a way where it's like, if you share this consciousness that's going to uplift this person, I want to give you like more than a thank you. Like I want to help you have even more time on your hands and abundance so that you can go flow that energy into whatever it is that you want to see in the world in whatever area of life, whether it's helping the environment or saving animals or creating equality or eradicating poverty or traveling the world, whatever it is. So everything that I do, it's the consciousness element is always the most important element, because without that, it's like have all the time and the money in the world, but you're miserable and your human experience won't be so fun. But once we have that, it's like, okay, how can we take this consciousness that we're creating and spread it in a way to where more people are uplifted and more people now have the abundance of their time and their money to go put that into whatever they want to see evolve in the world as well. So everything I'm doing is directly that. And this conversation that we just had, you've already added to that with just the consciousness that you share with me and that we float out together. Well, it's already impacted people I know that were tuned in live, and it will impact even more people over the time to come.
I love it.
So
yeah, I love that thought process. And I'd love to just, stay in touch and keep the conversation going.
Yes.
Eventually, at some point, I do a lot of interviews. Like I interview guest experts and healers, and I do interviews in the group. At some point, I am looking at like starting my own podcast, but that's like been something like forever that I've talked about doing, and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because I'm so busy with everything. But eventually, and when I do, I would love to, have the conversation and discussion and interview you to see what you're up to and share you with my people.
Yeah, and I'm so easy to co-create with. It would take one message to me saying, Noel, like, can we to bring in more abundance for everybody in my community? Like, that's what my expertise is. It's taking people that are already doing what you're doing and just helping it expand even more so it brings more abundance to you and everybody that's in your tribe.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so
How
yes.
it works.
Yeah, we're in alignment. We're meeting right now for a reason, and it's all beautiful. I appreciate all of it.
I'm so glad that you reached out.
Yeah, you're awesome. I really appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and the week and everything that you're doing, and I look forward to vibing with you whatever timing is right in the future.
For sure. For sure. Thank you.
Yes, Gina. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.